Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're jumping into something that really caught my eye from one of the sources you shared. It's this idea, this premise of daily rituals that 90% of people ignore.
Hmm.
I mean, just hearing that title, it makes you lean in, right?
It does.
The whole concept that there are these like powerful practices, maybe insights just sitting there, but most people are just walking right past them. I'm already, buzzing a bit. What does that really mean for us? For finding those like surprising facts or maybe angles that give an edge. Okay, let's unpack this.
What's fascinating here, I think, is that specific number ignored by 90%.
Right.
It immediately makes you think there's this whole area of advantage, maybe,
Yeah.
or just deeper understanding that's, outside the mainstream. When something's widely overlooked like that, well, it often means there's a chance to get a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
To unlock something that isn't common knowledge, isn't common practice, it kind of pushes back on the idea that popular always equals effective
Yeah.
or insightful.
Absolutely. And, that's exactly why you listening should care about this. We're all swimming in information, right? So how do you actually gain knowledge that sticks, have those aha moments, and just, avoid feeling totally overwhelmed? Well, if there are valuable practices, maybe even ways of thinking that 90% of people are overlooking, then maybe focusing on that uncommon 10% could be a shortcut. A more direct path.
Potentially, yeah.
So our mission here for this deep dive is really to get under the skin of this ignored 90% idea from the source. What does it actually signify? And what could it mean for how we approach learning, how we approach living?
Okay.
So we've got this hook, daily rituals that 90% of people ignore. Now, thankfully, the source doesn't just, leave it there.
Right, it'll just tease.
Exactly. It actually gives examples. It outlines specific types of daily rituals that supposedly fit this bill. And they're not huge, complex things. They're daily rituals, small, consistent stuff.
Mm-hmm. Actions or mindsets.
Right. That when you do them consistently, they add up. They create this divergence from what most people do.
Indeed. And the source suggests they often look deceptively simple.
Like what?
Well, for instance, it mentions things like structured morning journaling, not just, writing whatever comes to mind, but using specific prompts maybe to clarify what you intend for the day.
Okay.
Or dedicating maybe 20 minutes, just 20 minutes of really focused, deep work every day. No distractions, fun off, maybe even in another room.
That's a tough one for many.
It is. And another example is like a nightly win-learn review, just thinking back, what's one thing that went well today and one lesson learned? Instead of just, zoning out. These are pretty basic, consistent choices.
Yeah.
But the source implies they shape outcomes over time. Yet, they're largely bypassed.
That really makes me wonder, though, if they're so simple, maybe even effective, why? What are the common, human tendencies maybe, or characteristics that lead us to overlook them? Why are 90% supposedly missing out?
That is a great question. I think often it could be our bias towards complexity. Or maybe instant gratification. A lot of these effective but less common practices, they don't give you that immediate dramatic buzz. They need consistency, patience.
Right.
So someone might look at structured journaling and think, oh, that's too simple, or it's not worth the time because they don't see a result today. We kind of crave the quick fix, don't we? Or the shiny new technique.
Definitely.
Rather than maybe embracing the quiet power of just incremental, consistent effort. And there's probably a bit of herd mentality, too. If most people aren't doing it, we might subconsciously assume it can't be that important.
That makes a lot of sense, yeah. The path less traveled. It often feels harder, or maybe just weirder, even if it leads somewhere better eventually. Okay, so for you listening, what's the tangible upside then? If someone actually embraces these kinds of overlooked practices, what specific advantages could they unlock?
Yeah. Well, the source suggests the advantages are pretty significant. By doing these less common things, you're essentially building yourself a kind of personalized edge.
Okay.
Take that deep work example again. If you consistently manage to carve out that distraction-free time, it leads to deeper focus, right? Probably higher quality output, maybe more creative solutions to problems, because you're not constantly context switching.
Yeah, makes sense.
And the win-learn review,
Yeah.
that could seriously accelerate personal growth. It forces you to regularly self-assess, to turn experiences, even small ones, into actual insights you can use.
Right. Not just letting the day blur by.
Exactly. So these aren't just like feel-good activities. The idea is they translate directly into better clarity, maybe less mental clutter, and probably a faster learning curve. which seems to be what a lot of people are looking for.
That's powerful stuff. And it's interesting that it's not about some secret, complicated technique.
No.
It's more about consistently doing things others just disregard because they seem too basic or maybe take too much discipline day after day. So this feels less like rigid rules and more like a mindset shift.
I think so.
How can people listening start to spot their own overlooked opportunities then, or cultivate these kinds of rituals?
Yeah, that brings up an important point. It's probably about mindful observation, really. Start by noticing where you or maybe people around you tend to rush things or cut corners or just default to the easiest, most convenient option. And then ask yourself, is there a simple, consistent action I could take right here that most people probably wouldn't bother with?
Okay, like what kind of things?
Oh, it could be anything, really. Maybe taking a deliberate pause before firing off an email reply.
Yeah, I could use that one.
Or taking just 5 minutes to jot down some thoughts before jumping into a meeting. Or even just committing to reading one insightful article fully each day instead of, skimming headlines of a dozen things.
Right. Depth over breadth sometimes.
Exactly. The key seems to be experimenting with small, consistent habits that kind of push against the default way of doing things, and then, crucially, sticking with them long enough to see if they actually yield, disproportionate benefits for you.
So what does this all mean when we boil it down? The core idea we're pulling from this source is really this powerful notion that valuable daily practices, or maybe even just ways of thinking, they exist all around us, but they're just habitually overlooked by the vast majority. It's highlighting the potential hidden value in what gets ignored, that there might be a profound advantage in looking where others aren't looking, and maybe embracing the simple consistency that others might just dismiss as insignificant.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, this whole concept of ignored rituals, it's fundamentally about, critical thinking, isn't it?
So
It's about being observant. It's about actively seeking alternative perspectives instead of just going with the flow. True understanding, or maybe even just making significant progress, it often comes from looking beyond the obvious, from questioning the default settings.
Okay.
It's really a reminder that not everything valuable is, loud or popular or trending. And often, the most impactful changes can come from those unassuming choices we make day in, day out.
Absolutely. It feels like a call to observe more carefully, maybe question our own routines, and just be open to approaches that aren't necessarily the ones everyone's talking about.
Precisely.
So we'll leave you with this thought to mull over, something based on that intriguing title: Daily Rituals That 90% of People Ignore. What daily rituals could be in your personal life, could be in your job, your field, maybe even just how you learn things. What rituals might you currently be ignoring? And, maybe more importantly, what surprising advantages could you unlock by simply paying a bit more attention to them? Or perhaps by consciously trying something different from what the majority is doing?